Good evening, everybody. Welcome to my Wednesday waffle. It is Wednesday, the 2nd of February. Can you believe that it is February? Oh, hang on, my cat's just. Can you believe it's February already? January sort of flew by, didn't it, really? Are you going? Oh, okay. Yeah, so I hope you're all well. I hope you've been busy. I hope you've been productive. I hope you've been doing all sorts of interesting things. If you are coming on live, or there's a few people popped on, hello. If you're popping on live, press some thumbs up and things, because if we do that, then Facebook notifies people that I'm here, and then more people pop on. So that would be great if you could do that. And if you are here, pop me a comment, say hello. If you are watching on replay, where is it? There it is. If you're watching on replay, let me know that you're popping on afterwards. And if you're watching on YouTube after I have uploaded this to my YouTube channel, then please do subscribe. I'd very much appreciate it. And then you'll get notifications whenever I put anything new on. So let's get rid of that, because as I say every week, that will drive us up the wall if that's going. I often forget. So what am I talking about this week? This week is an interesting one. I often plan in my, I plan in my Wednesday waffles. I know quite a bit in advance what I'm going to be talking about on different Wednesdays, but I leave some empty, some Wednesdays free, so that I can cover things that are happening in the group or questions that are coming up in the group. And this week is one of them. This week I left free for anything that, was going on in the group. And I had noticed during January and a few times before as well, that some people were perhaps getting a little bit stressed about dealing with competitors in their area, people around them, local people who were, setting up businesses in competition with them, or perhaps undercutting their prices, and, so on and so forth. So I thought, I know what I'll do. I'll do a Wednesday waffle on it and give you some of, the benefit of my, dare I say, wisdom on this. And if any of it resonates with you, brilliant. You don't have to agree with everything I say. I'm just here to sort of, give my advice and make some suggestions. Whether you follow it or not is obviously up to you. Because tonight there's a bit of tough love going on tonight. It must be said. I don't often do the tough love, but when I do, it's for your own good, it's for your own benefit, because my aim for this group, for all the groups that I run, is for people to have successful businesses. That's the sort of the be all and end all of it, really. And if I can help and support and guide, though, you to have successful businesses, brilliant. But sometimes you have to, say there's a bit of tough love sometimes. That has to happen. I'm going to put my glasses on so that I can see my notes here, because I've got my notes. Tonight's waffle is going out, as has been my recent thing, in a blog. So I've written it all down, and it's in the blog, and the link to that will come into the Home Baking Business Community UK group at about 8 o'clock. I think I programmed it for. So if you prefer to read things, then it'll be there then. But I must admit, I wrote it today, and reading through it just before I came on this evening, it reads much better than I'm going to actually explain it, if that makes sense. You'll sort of find out as I dither and waffle through it. But let's get going. Let's talk about competitors. Now, the first thing I had problems with was actually finding a title for this, because dealing with competitors isn't quite right, because we don't necessarily deal with them. Handling competitors, again, didn't sound right. So on my blog, I came up with the mindset, competitor mindset, how to get your brain around, dealing with anything that might be thrown at you. That's sort of the that's the angle that I'm coming from this evening. So in my blog, I talk about the fact that, lots of baking businesses were set up during lockdown, and I'm, you possibly a lot of you are amongst that group, and there are lots of reasons why people did that, and that's one of the reasons why I started my group, to help people, get into business and get successful businesses. Where are we? Sorry, I've got my notes in the wrong place here. Yeah, so if you've set up a baking business, the chances are perhaps you've joined some local, or you were in some local Facebook community groups, and it might be through there that you're seeing people and other bakers popping up and saying things and doing things that are perhaps stressing you out a bit. Because I get the impression from some of the posts that have happened in the group that people are getting quite stressed about having to, deal with local people around them. Now, my point of view very much is that having local people doing similar to what we do can actually be a good thing. And I'm very much of the opinion that you've got to look at the positives and what you can learn from things, rather than just complain about them and get angry about them, because there's no point in getting angry about something you have no control over. Just make the most of it. So I was thinking today, well, actually, having competitors or having people around you, in your local area that are doing similar to you, actually gives you an opportunity to think, right, is what I'm doing good enough? Is it of a good standard? Because I've got people that I'm being judged against by other people, if that makes sense. So in a good way, it ensures that we keep up our standards, that everything we do is of a high standard, so that we don't drop. If we lived in a remote area, a remote town, that in which you were the only baker in a 50-mile radius, I know it's not going to happen, but go with me on this one, then people would be you'd be the only person that people would rely on, and they would have to come to you. They'd have no choice. Whereas when you've got competition, they can choose to come to you, or they can choose to go down the road, or they can, so you've got to keep it up. You've got to keep the momentum going. You've got to keep up your skills. You've got to keep up, a standard of everything. And sometimes I think it's easy to get cross or angry with another business that might have just opened up. And perhaps subconsciously you're cross because what you're actually seeing them do seems to be a lot better than what you're doing. I know it's tough to hear that, isn't it? But that's sometimes the case. You think, oh my goodness, they are really, good at what they do. And then, of course, you've got two options. You can either moan about it and complain and get cross and cry, or you can do that and then think, right, what have I got to do to get mine better then? I've got to up my game here. And then you can be proactive and positive and think, right, I've got to do something about this. So that's one thing you can do. And then the other thing I was thinking about when I was writing this today was that you don't always see sort of the truth of some situations that you hear about. So often it might be that you hear about the baker down the road from someone who heard it from someone who heard it from someone. Yeah. So we don't know the truth of the situation. We don't know what that baker is, what's going on with that baker. We don't know the ins and outs of it. And we certainly don't have much control over what that baker does. And customers, general public, sometimes can be a bit tricky. I've seen this happen in the group. People have described this, where a baker will get an inquiry from a customer and say, I want this cake. So-and-so down the road's only doing it for 30. Why do you want to charge me 50? Now, people have posted this kind of scenario and said, oh, perhaps my prices are too high. Should I bring my price down? Now, one thing I would say to you is don't in a million years let a customer dictate what your price is. You work out your prices, as owner of your business to make your profit. I say this all the time. You are responsible for your business making a profit. So everything you do has got to work towards that. Oh, hi, Alex. Hello. So, don't let a customer beat you down on that price. Don't let them, let you make less of a profit. Yes, they might take their business elsewhere. And in fact, if they're saying so-and-so down the road's doing it for 30, you can say, well, I can't do it for that. You'd better go to them then. And the reason I say it might be them pulling a fast one is, and people often comment this when people put this scenario up, is why don't they just go to that baker then if it's cheaper? Why do they have to come to you and say, can you lower your price? Why would they do that? It just seems a bit strange, doesn't it? It just seems a bit strange. So yeah, don't let customers dictate your prices, because you might find yourself falling into the trap of, oh, well, I'll do that for 30 for you then. And the next person has beat you down to 45. So I'll do it for 45 for you then. This person's happy to pay 50. So I'll pay, and your different prices for each one. Eventually it will come back to bite you, because eventually people will realize the inconsistency. Hang on a minute, I paid 50 quid for that and you only paid 30. And it just won't sit well. So be consistent and be assertive with your pricing. Okay. Some people I know are very stressed when they hear that so-and-so, the baker down the road is fully booked. I'm fully booked. And we often get things in the group where, I've got these lovely things for offer and the baker down the road's doing the same and they're fully booked and I'm not. What am I doing wrong? Well, take that with a pinch of salt, because that's a bit of a marketing technique, to say you're fully booked. It might well be that they are fully booked, but sometimes it can be something that you can say to make your business, to give your business a bit of status, or to make it seem as if, there's a scarcity in what you do because everybody wants it, because it's human nature, the fear of missing out. And the whole, during lockdown, when the panic buying, it's the similar kind of brain thing. Whereas if that, it was toilet rolls, wasn't it? It was really bizarre, because people were buying up the toilet rolls and everyone else was saying, oh, well, if they are, then I must have them, and it's that mentality of, if someone else has got it, it must be, if people are craving for it, it must be good, so I want it. So that might be why bakers say, oh, I'm fully booked, limited availability, when perhaps they're not. So take that with a pinch of salt. Don't let that ruin what you do or let that stress you out. Just take that with a pinch of salt, because it might not always be, 100% true. So sort of discount that. Don't let that worry what you do. I mean, it might be that they're fully booked because they only perhaps do 1 day's baking a week, and they've only got so much capacity to do that. So bear that in mind. Different bakers have different circumstances, and they're not all working the same way that you do. So discount that. And the other thing I've talked about in my blog, which is sort of the hub of the matter, really, and this is quite deep and quite sort of business strategy like, is I talk about, are you serious about having a profitable and successful business? Okay. Which does seem a strange question, because everyone says, well, yes, of course I want to be successful. But then you look at what you think successful is. Again, might seem a strange question. Well, I want to make money. But there's a difference between throwing something together and making a quick buck, making a fast buck. There's a difference between that and planning out what you do, creating a strong brand, creating a social media presence, creating an audience and a customer base that's loyal, all that will take a little bit longer, but in the long run, it'll be better. You'll have a business with a solid foundation. You know, you build the house, you have to have a foundation, don't you? Then everything else is strong. If you've done that building up of your business, creating a loyal audience that love what you do and they love the way that you do it, then so-and-so down the road suddenly undercutting you by £2 isn't going to make the blindest bit of difference to the people that love what you do. Okay. So if you're not in that position yet where you've got, you know, a loyal audience, work on that. Work on getting a strong brand, by which I mean, you know, when you watch adverts sometimes and you see a new advert and you suddenly think, oh, I bet that's an IKEA advert, or I bet that's a Sainsbury's advert, or I bet that's, you know, because they use certain colours and certain words and certain ways of doing things, they have like an identity. Well, you can replicate that in a certain way, in that get a certain style to what you do on social media. You know, get your brand colours, logo is just part of it, really. So that when people, you know, you pop up on someone's Instagram without even seeing your name, they can go, oh, yes, that's so-and-so. And you start to become familiar. That doesn't happen overnight. So what I'm saying is, if you want a profitable and successful business in the long run, that is the groundwork that you've got to do. You've got to build that customer base, that loyal customer base that will come to you no matter what. So even if someone down the road is doing it £5-10 cheaper, they will still want to come to you because they know that you are quality. They know what they will get from you. They know you are easy to communicate with. All those things that good businesses have. Yeah. So it's all to do with is strategy, thinking longer term, knowing what it is you're going to be providing, you know, to selling. And it's all to do, I think, as well with being innovative, yeah, being new, being creative, doing things that other people aren't. And the way to do that is to sort of just look around, look at the world around you, look at Instagram, look at Pinterest, look at websites, look at magazines, and see what the, you know, the high-end London people are doing, you know, the big patisseries and all those kind of people. See what kind of things they're doing and let it inspire you to create new things. Yeah. Because if you're the one that's, you know, coming up with the new ideas, then your customers will really appreciate that. Oh, this is brilliant. This is new. I've not seen this before. Yeah. If you're constantly, you know, knee-jerking that so-and-so down the road is doing, I don't know, white chocolate brownies, then I must do white chocolate brownies. Then all you're doing is following other people. Yeah. So to be a good and successful business, you've got to lead rather than follow. So get inspiration, get creative, get different. Yes, people, you know, if you bring something out that's brilliant, of course other people are going to want a bit of it. But then by the time they've kicked in with theirs, you're perhaps then on to the next thing. You know, you've created something new and people will rely on you to create things that are new as well as high quality. Do you see where I'm going with this? Then you haven't got to worry about the competition, because you are building a really strong business with really innovative, creative, beautiful things. Okay. Think about how you, you know, how you display your products. Think about your shop window, as in, you know, your Instagram and your Facebook and your TikTok. How do you show them? Have you got beautiful photographs? Do you spend time planning out what you're going to photograph? Or do you just make a batch of brownies, click, click, that'll do, I'll shove that on Instagram? You can see where I'm going with this, can't you? So if you plan things out and have a bit of a think about how you're going to show what you do. I mean, I know some people in the group have brilliant, TikTok reels and Instagram reels and do things brilliantly. So when we do the Social Sunday, watch and see what other people, follow other people in the group and see what kinds of things that they're doing as well. Get inspiration. Don't copy, verbatim somebody, but get inspiration and turn it into something that's uniquely you. And that way you rise above the competitors. Because I say this all the time as well, don't I? That, different bakers, different businesses will have different ideal customers. And I say it all the time, and I always compare it to supermarkets. You've got your Lidl and your Aldi, and you've got your Harrods with sort of Sainsbury's and Waitrose and various ones in between. And of course, they all survive in the marketplace. They all cater to very, very different customers. They all cater to different budgets. They all do very different things, yet they all survive. They all run successful businesses, and we can do that as bakers. Know who you're aiming your products at, know what you do and know why you do it. Know where you're going with your business. What do you aim to achieve with it? Think about your 6 month, your year plan, your 5-year plan. Where do I want to be? And that will mark you out from the others. That will let you rise above, a thingy down the road who's suddenly whipped up a batch of brownies and is sort of shoving them in bags. And, if you put thought into your business, people will notice. People will see that. Okay. If you plan and put thought into it, that will be noticed. Okay. People will sometimes say, well, so-and-so copied me. So the last thing I'm going to talk about really is, copying. If people copy, if they are actually infringing your copyright, i.e. if you've designed something or you've taken photos and they're actually taking those photos and using them as their own, then that's a different matter altogether. You can get hold of cease and desist letters and make it clear that, those are your copyrighted things and they must take them down. There are processes you can go through for that. But if it's just a question of someone has copied an idea from you, there's a couple of things that you can do. You can, one option would be to stalk them, to block them on your page, to ask everybody to go and harass them, to, complain about them. You could do that, or all the energy that you spent doing that, you can actually put into your own business and do all this planning that I was just talking about, doing all this stuff to make your business even better. Okay. If what they're doing, if they're just copying, if someone copied me, without infringing my copyright as such, because cakes can, wedding cakes can be quite generic, really. First of all, I think, oh, I'm quite chuffed that actually someone is following what I do. What I was talking just now about leading and following. If someone is copying your ideas, then you are establishing yourself as the leader, and you are, the innovator. You are the one that other people look up to. So think of that as a good thing. But yeah, it's a case of just what I've said all the way along here is being unique, being you, being creative, having a real sense of knowing what you're doing and being on a path, and being the leader of your business. being that, and it's your business you want to make a profit from. That's sort of the end of the day. Everything you do, your business head, it must be saying, is this making me a profit? Because that's the responsibility of me as a business. Okay. So when, you get, we get things in the group, don't we, about, oh, such and such a customer didn't pay a deposit and won't pay a deposit and all this kind of stuff. Or your business head says, well, they don't get a cake then. It's as simple as that. So look at things from a business head point of view rather than a personal heart point of view. And it does make things an awful lot better. Yeah, it makes things a lot easier if you're doing it from a business head point of view. It does. So yes, so I've waffled on a little bit and gone round in circles a few times, but read the blog. The blog makes a lot more sense than what I've just waffled on about. But I hope you get the idea that your business is unique to you. No one else can be you. They might be able to produce similar cakes and brownies and cookies and whatever it is that you do, but no one can do it the way that you do it. No one communicates with their customers the way that you do. No one engages the customers the way that you do. We're all unique in how we do that, and customers will gravitate towards, different. I mean, I have customers, or I have people that come for inquire about wedding cakes, and I never hear from them again. Absolutely fine. They probably went somewhere else. Not a problem to me at all. But I have some that come to me and they're really excited, and we have a good old chat, and they're very excited, and I help them to create their beautiful cake, and I make their beautiful cake, and then they come back for their child's birthday cake or an anniversary cake or whatever, because they know me and they know how I work and they know what they're getting from me. They don't want to shop around because there's an element of risk, isn't there, with someone that you don't know. Whereas someone like and trust, I'm always talking about that as well, aren't I? Someone like and trust is going to give you the goods more often than not. So build that audience, build your customers, be aware that it might take time. Look at what you're doing, be in control of what you're doing. If things aren't working, if you're perceiving that your business isn't doing as well as someone else's, think what you've got to do. What have you got to do to make it as good as your competitor? Be determined, be resilient, and persevere. That is my message for this evening. I hope that has made sense. So it's a bit of a sort of mindset in deep one, isn't it, this evening? But I hope that's made sense. Read the blog as well, because I think it makes a lot more sense on the blog. I've had a bit of a long week, it must be said. So there we go. So I hope that's made some sort of sense for you. Next week, the 9th of February, I am going to be talking finances again. I know lots of people struggle with getting their head around finances and how to set up business finances and what you need to do and what you don't need to do. So next week, I'm going to be talking about, particularly if you've set up your business after April last year, so you might not have registered with the tax people, or you might not have done a self-assessment yet. I'll be talking about that. But even if you have and you've done a self-assessment, it'll be a refresher for you. So I'll go over some things there for you as well. All right. So there we are. I'm sure, yes, it is next week. It's the 9th, isn't it? Next week, yes. So that's next week's session. There we go. Don't forget, folks, I posted in the Home Baking Business Community group today about some courses that I have on offer, some of which are instantly downloadable and watchable. So if you've not registered or started up yet, there's one for you, First Steps. If you've registered but have sort of yet to start selling, there's my Preparing to Trade, which has got all sorts of information and resources in there. There's a pricing session where I go really in depth into pricing with a calculator that I show you how to use. So there's that there as well. Those 3 are instantly downloadable. You can buy those and get those immediately. The kitchen inspections, there are recordings for those, but the next live is in March. So if you've got a kitchen inspection due and you're not quite sure what to do or how to go about it, and you want some really intense, advice, there's that one. And then I'm also going to do in April, after the end of this tax year, I'm going to do an in-depth finance course showing you how to do a self-assessment. So I'll show you the forms, I'll show you how to register, all those kind of things. And I'll show you what the forms look like, so you're a bit familiar with them when you come to do it yourself. So those are up on my website. anniebennett.co.uk is my website, and look under courses and it's all there. And the other one that I'm doing is my wedding cake business course. I talked a little bit about that last week when I talked about wedding cakes, but that's happening in February. What I've altered it slightly in that I've given you the chance to either buy them in separate halves as well, because the course there's a practical bit, which is making the cakes, stacking the cakes, leveling, decorating, all that. And then there's the business side as well. So if you're really good at making the cakes, but you need to know about terms and conditions and pricing them and consultations and all that side, then there's that half. So you can buy them separately or you can buy them together. Again, look on my website. It's all on there. So there we are. So that's my waffle this evening. So I will leave it there. Have a lovely week. I hope to see you joining me next week for the finances. If you need anything in the meantime, just pop something in the group. If you want me to answer something or you want me to see something, do just tag me in, because Facebook doesn't always let me know or show me posts. But if you want my opinion on something, more than happy to give it. Just tag me in and I'll see it. And I'll be happy to help. All right. So take care, everybody. Have a lovely week, and I will see you next week. All right. Bye.